because the more I think about Henry and his life in the context of being a lawyer, I think of Henry as being an amicus curiae of the court. That may sound a little bit strange, but I think it fits so nicely because amicus means to be a friend of the court. And Henry Miller was nothing if not a friend of the court. And the word amicus fits him so well because judges, when they have attorneys in the courtroom, often as not, and necessarily look for the lawyers to get help so that they can get input from both sides and render a just and fair result. And Henry, in Henry's case, that word, that appellation, I think was uniquely true because any judge would look to Henry as a person of knowledge, talent, skill, scholarship, and perhaps above all, credibility. So I see Henry as the paradigm, as the model of the amicus in the New York court system and probably beyond. So he had all of the qualities and all of the virtues that we want to see in a profession like ours. Someone who honors the rule of law, someone who is hardworking, scholarly, fair, decent, passionate, committed, and above all, a person of integrity and credibility. That's how I remember him. And for me, the whipped cream on it all is that we were pals. And we would go to dinner. I'd see him from time to time, got to know his family. And even I even had the privilege of officiating at his wedding, which produced the incomparable Anna Maria. So I have a special reason to rejoice in Henry's life. Well, the gravitas certainly, but I think you can have all the gravitas in the world and all the skills of a lawyer in the world, and yet not attract the same level of deference and affection that Henry did. But there was another dimension to it, which was credibility and honesty and decency. When he went before his audience and told what it was like to be a good lawyer and how one can act in the courtroom, it was always thoroughly above board with honesty, credibility, and integrity. And when young lawyers hear that, they say, that's the one, that's the model I want to follow. I don't need lawyers' tricks. I don't need to be taught how to do things that might, that would not ring true. And Henry always rang true, so that when he was giving advice, so to speak, at these programs and at these fora, it would be in a way that a young person can say, that is my idea of how to be a lawyer. Honesty and integrity blended with scholarship and hard work and decency. So that was the recipe. They come along once in a great while, and Henry was he was the epitome of it, which is why we all adored him. And as bar president, it was about service. So that's really the commodity behind it all. And when you look for the qualities of a president of a great profession in a great state, the quality of service emerged, and that was apparent to everyone. I didn't know that he did his Clarence Darrow a bit after each of the after each of his presentations when he was dealing with the young lawyers in trial advocacy. But what a treat that must have been. Well, I think he brought those qualities to the bar, the qualities of inclusiveness, which was very important. And there was a side of Henry Miller that was drawn from Clarence Darrow, the qualities of inclusiveness and broadening the profession so that it was not limited to a few Brahmins, or maybe it may have started out years and years ago as a few Brahmins, but that was certainly not Henry's idea of service or about the nature of the bar. It was much broader. It would have been inclusive. It would have brought in all of the ideas about the profession extending itself, its arm, its reach, its capacity, and its goals and accomplishments to the community at large in terms of service. And that's how Henry saw his life and his profession, and surely his presidency in the bar. It was not to see the bar or anything that he would be presiding over as a whole lot of fancy people who were above the rest of the population. It was to be right out there with the people and to extend the offices of the bar and of the profession to the public at large. I think that was his that was how he saw his role and how he accomplished it. Well, I think basically the quality of decency and integrity, honesty and truth and credibility, those were the hallmarks of Henry Miller's personality. And when one acts through those commodities, through those qualities and characteristics, only good can emerge. Not 100% of the time, because the human race is imperfect, and we're all imperfect. But the imperfections can be dealt with. And if one has those qualities and one learns from people like Henry how to employ them in what Lincoln would call the exercise through our better angels, I think it would be a better place, and we could keep on trying to improve. But having said that, it would not be without a touch of humor and without bringing a smile to one's countenance. I think Henry would want that very, very much, because as serious as he was, he always found ways to inject a bit of humor and put just the right touch on it, so that amid the decency and the goodness and the integrity and the honesty, a little bit of humor goes a long way.